Hi guys, and welcome to our Back Belt 101 class. My name is Leila and I'm going to be showing you, or really breaking down, the back belt wrap in aerial yoga. It is one of the most integral poses for any aerial yoga practice, and when it's done correctly, it facilitates amazing release for the spine. It's also perfect pose for beginners, and as you become more advanced, there's so many ways we can move on from that pose and do some really fun and dynamic flips, tricks, stretches, and strengthening poses. So today we're just going to look at the basics. We'll break down our back belt wrap to begin, and then I'll show you some of the very easy ways we can integrate that into a yoga practice. All right, so the first thing we'll talk about is the placement of the fabric. So standing in the front of your silk, we'll start by extending the arms up towards the sky. We want to take our hands into that fabric and extend them out to a T shape. From here, we want to take the thumbs to the inside of the fabric and guide the thumbs all the way down the silk. So this is what we call a mitten grab. So our fingers are outside and our thumb is inside. And we might use this type of hold in some other poses in other videos. So from here, the placement of the fabric is most important. Now we want to get that fabric right to the sacrum. So the sacrum is this kind of hard bone right at the bottom of the spine. Other ways that you can find the right place is really to sit that fabric on the top of your hips. It's called a back belt wrap, and it might be where your belt would be on a low-rise pair of jeans. What we do not want ever is to find that fabric right up here in the spine. If you end up with that fabric up in your spine, we're going to be creating compression instead of release, and that is not what we want. So you might even need to tiptoe to get that fabric glued to the right place. Now, as we come in to protect the spine, we really want to avoid any kind of back bending. So this involves really activating the core muscles as we tuck our chin in towards the chest. So notice I'm just leaning back here. I'm not arching back. I'm just leaning, getting the weight of my body into that fabric. And then from there, I simply lift my knees off the ground. Now, this in itself is very hard to hold because it's a really big core strengthener. From there, we're going to extend the arms up high, and then we'll take our knees out wide. So wide knees is the most important safety aspect of this pose. You can either keep your toes touching here, or you can take your legs and extend them to a big wide straddle. From there, you're ready to invert. So as slowly as you like, we'll just slide those hands down the fabric as you lower your head down towards the ground. Once here, we'll bend the knees again and hook the feet on the front side. That's the face side of the fabric. Once you're in place and your feet are hooked, you are ready and safe to release your hands down to the ground. A nice way to begin this pose is to flip the palms, so your palms are facing the sky or ceiling, and then dropping the back of the hands to the ground. This just stops you from pressing into the ground and just, again, facilitates that space of release. Now, when it comes to the feet, if you're not sure if your feet are hooked right, you just want to look up and you want to be able to see your ankles in front of that fabric post. So if you look up and you notice that your ankles are behind the fabric post, that means you've incorrectly hooked your feet. So make sure they're in the front. You can either hook them, or if you like, you can just take the soles of the feet to touch and let the knees come wide, finding this relaxing space here. So this is our basic back belt wrap. And to get out of this safely, there's a few steps. Step number one, we're going to reach up for that fabric between the thighs, looking up towards the heels of the feet or towards your belly button. Unhook the legs, take the legs to a wide straddle, and then walk the hands up the fabric here. From there, we're going to bend the knees, taking the toes to touch and holding this cannonball position. So cannonball position, our head should be higher than our heart. Our arms are straight. We don't want to be holding it with bent elbows like this because this takes a lot of strength on the arms. So the higher you get the hands, the better. Now the purpose of this pose is to really just allow some of the blood to flow back into the body, out of the head, before we come to standing. If we come up really quickly, after being upside down for a while, some people can feel a little bit dizzy. Now, once you get up, a nice way to relax after your inversion is to take the fabric in front of the shoulders and then take a big step back, leaning forward for a ragdoll pose. And from there, you can just take a minute to breathe. Again, these inversions really shift energy, really shake things up. So it can leave us feeling sometimes a little unsettled. So it's really important to just reground again after these inversions. Good. So to get the most benefit of inversions, they do recommend inverting for 3 minutes a day. And if you are upside down, especially when you're new to this, even 1 minute can feel like an incredibly long period of time. So you don't need to do those full 3 minutes all in one go. So sometimes it's nice to just take it slow, especially in the beginning. But eventually you'll be able to work up to a 3-minute inversion. And if you do any research about any kind of inversion therapy, you'll see why that's so beneficial. All right, so now we're going to talk about a few poses you can do from your back belt wrap. Number one, we're going to come into our star pose, and then we're going to try a handstand. So starting underneath the fabric line, you have your mitten palms, slide them down the fabric post, come onto the tiptoes to place that fabric right at the sacrum. From there, lean back, avoid any back bending, tuck the chin towards the chest, lift the knees, take them wide, extend the legs to a straddle, lower yourself down and hook the feet on the face side of the silk. Good. From there, you can release the hands down towards the ground, maybe flip the palms so the back of the hands touch. Okay, for our star pose, we first of all want to make sure we're activating our core muscles. So rather than just relaxing like this, we're going to activate everything. And actually, this is a really important point. So for some of you who might feel a lot of pressure in the back, keeping an active core throughout any of your back belt might feel a lot more supportive for your spine. So you can notice the difference. If I relax, you can see that my spine is bending a little bit. Whereas if I activate my core, it's just flattening out the back. And again, that's going to create more support there. So for our star pose, we do want to keep that core active. We're just going to unhook the legs and extend the legs wide. Now, what we're avoiding here, we don't want the legs to disappear up towards the sky like this. We're really trying to keep the legs heavy, drawing the tippy toes down towards the ground. And from the side, you can see that we've got a nice angle here from the body and the legs. Again, if our legs come up towards the sky, especially if they're not super wide, this can be a little bit dangerous as this fabric can slide up and off our hips. So legs wide, core active, toes towards the ground. And if you're doing a star pose correctly, you'll start to feel a lot of heat building up here in the core muscles. Now, a number of things you can do here. You can do some nice little crunches if you want to do some nice core exercises. You can also just grab the inner thighs here, finding a nice stretch for the inner thighs. If you have deeper flexibility or you'd like to gain deeper flexibility, trying to reach to the big toes, it's a really intense stretch. To come out, you just release the feet, hook the feet face side of the silk, and relax here for a breath or two. All right, so to come into our handstand pose, we can place both of the hands directly underneath the shoulders. Now, it's super important here that you just take a little look up and make sure your feet are hooked to the front side of the fabric. Once you are assured that they are hooked correctly, we're just going to press into the ground and slide the feet up towards the sky simultaneously to find our handstand pose. Now, we want to try and avoid this arching of the back that I'm doing. So we're going to draw the rib cage in, draw the tailbone up, and engage the core. And again, we're really trying to find the stability in this pose. We're pressing the hands the arms really, really, really strongly into the ground, straightening out the whole body. Inner thighs are engaged. And notice how my feet are still wrapped around, hooked around that fabric. When you're done in your handstand, you can release the hands from the ground and extend them wide. This is what we call skydiver pose. A really fun place to just play around, give your body a little wiggle, dance, spin, take the hands under the head. You can interlace the hands behind the back. That feels really, really good. And then when you're ready to come out, you can take the hands down and slide those feet back down, knees wide. The last pose we'll do from here is it's a front belt stretch. And we're just going to walk the hands forward, as far forward as we can. Start by stacking the shoulders above the wrist, pressing in here, and then we're just going to stretch back. So in the upper body, we're aiming for a pretty much downward facing dog shape. So I'm really pressing the armpits down towards the ground, chest is drawing back. And this is just an amazing stretch here from the whole, for the whole front side of the body, as well as the whole spine. Again, we get the most benefit of from these inversions if we can learn to really relax here. So just closing the eyes, taking a few deep breaths. And of course, there's always the opportunity for movement, any wiggles, sways, movements. And when you're ready to come out, just slide the hands back directly underneath the fabric line. Stop yourself from any swinging. Look up towards the belly button. Grab the fabric between your inner thighs. Extend your legs out to a straddle. Now bend the knees, toes touch as you walk your hands up the fabric super high, holding your cannonball position for 3 and 2 and 1. Knees come to the ground. Take that fabric in front of the shoulders and relax in your ragdoll pose. And now if you're feeling confident in your back belt wrap, you can join us for some of our more dynamic flows where we're going to put all of that together in a class style. So we hope to see you again. Thank you for watching.